Hello, people. Today we will be learning things about statistics and probability, prepared by yours truly, Jessa Ravi. So let's go. Now, first off, let's define statistics. Now, when we talk about statistics, it is the science that deals with the collection, organization, and presentation, analysis, and interpretation of all kinds of data pertinent to the study being considered so that meaningful conclusion can be drawn. Now, statistics, it's not just about the collection of data. It is the collection, organization, presentation, analysis, and interpretation of the data. You cannot call whatever you have collected na data as statistic if you are just collecting it. The statistics is all, I mean, all the parts of the statistics must be present for you to say that is statistics. Okay, now the field of statistics is divided into two. The first one is the descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics provides basic characteristics of a data. Usually, it is shown using tables, graph, measures of central tendency, position, and variation. Now, for this one, um, for the descriptive statistic, say for example, you have collected the data about the age of all grade 11 students of a certain school. So you can present that one using a table or a graph. And then later on, you can solve the data using the measures of central tendency. Now, please remember that whenever we talk about central tendency, those are measures like mean, the median, and the mode. For position, we have the quartiles, deciles, percentiles. Now, for the measures of variation, we have range, variance, standard deviation. Okay. Now, for the next one, we have inferential statistics. Inferential statistics, it is to make interpretations by making a concluding statement about the population based on the result derived from the data set. Now, measures commonly used in inferential statistics include analysis of variance, that is ANOVA. We also have t-test. This is used especially if you have a data set that is less than to 30 data set that is less than to 30 elements. Next one is the chi-square test. Then we also have correlation and regression analysis for the analysis that more of the relationship of two or more variables. Next, we also have the four essential processes in statistics. So the first one we have collection of data. Collection of data, this refers to the gathering of related information such as what is useful and needed. Ano ba yung mga kailangan for your for your study, for your research, like that. Next, where to get information. Asan ka kukuha ng information? Is it just in your barangay, in your city, in your school, or higher? And lastly, how to get information. Paano ka ba magagather ng data? Will you use survey? Mag-e-experiment ka ba? And the likes. Next, we have organization and presentation of data. This refers to the systematic way of organizing data. It involves collecting, classifying and arraying, and presenting data gathered in presentation to its analysis. So technically, sa presentation of data, you can use the tables, the graphs, mga iba pang illustration that could help your readers and you to understand your data. Third, you have the analysis of data. Analysis of data refers to extracting relevant information from the data at hand. It involves comparison and contrast, description, and statistical measurements to come up with numerical values and qualitative summary as a resulting conclusion. Now, dito sa analysis of data, pwede kang gumamit ng measures of central tendency, measures of position, measures of variation, that is for the descriptive statistics lang. But if you are dealing with inferential statistics, you need to use the ANOVA, ano pa yun, t-test, chi-square test, correlation, regression, z-test, ano pa yung mga test na yun for the analysis of data. Para later on, you will now um, lead to the interpretation of the data. Now, since na-solve mo na siya in the analysis of the data, solve mo na. Now, you need to interpret the data. The interpretation of data refers to the drawing a logical statements from the analyzed information. It involves generalization, forecasting, and recommending solutions and interventions about the study. So, interpretation of data, it's not plainly about what does your data mean. You also need to give um, recommending solutions. If you're example, you are dealing with a problem. Now, what would be the best solution to solve that particular problem based on the data you have collected or your based on your data that you analyzed? Okay, so those are the four essential processes in statistics. Next, let's talk about ano ba tong data? Why does this keeps on? Why do we hear this word data? Now, data, siguro commonly we can hear data. It's like yung pag-internet. No, data, it is a body of information or observations being considered by the researcher. This is in in statistics, the definition. Um, when the data is processed, information, which is the basis for decision making, is produced. So yung data, based sa data, may makukuha ka na information. Now, we also have the word or the term variable. It is used to define certain observable values or characteristics. It is used to define certain observable values or characteristics. It is called variable since the characteristics vary from one another. An example of variable is, say, you have three variables. You have x, y, and then z. Si variable x mo is the age of your respondents. The y is their height, and then z is their weight. Now, please observe that they are different. X is different from y, and y is different from from x and from z. So ayan, variable used to define certain observable values or characteristics. Remember, each variable is unique. Okay, next one, we also have yeah. This is the summary of the data type. Now, the data type, there are two types of data. We have quantitative data and qualitative data. When we talk about quantitative data, this talks about numbers. For you to remember, ito yan. Letter N, that is, N is for numbers. Quantitative, so you will collect numbers or numerical values. Example ng quantitative data is their age, weight, height, allowance, food allowance, ano pa ba, income, etc. For qualitative data naman, ang clue mo dito is the letter L. Now, ano ba ang letter L? That is letters. Ayan, mas madali na. L is for letters. Now, for qualitative data, you will collect the information na hindi numbers. Example ng qualitative data is their name, cities, um, their gender or their sex, and the likes. Now, under the quantitative data, we have two types na naman. We have discrete and continuous. When we say discrete, it is fixed. Ayan. Remember nyo na lang, fixed. Fixed na number siya. Sometimes, they also use the word whole numbers to pair with the discrete. Kasi daw, kapag discrete, whole number lang daw. It's either 1, 2, 3, and no decimal. Now, for continuous naman, for continuous, we have the numbers are sometimes in an interval form. When talk interval, it is in meron siyang decimal. Pero not all continuous in decimal form lang siya ha. Continuous could be in whole number or in decimal form. Okay. Now, all right. So this is the summary of the data type. Now let's proceed to the next one. Mhm.